Solomon, welcome.
Thank you, Josephine, and thank you for having me today.
It's nice to finally have you in the studio. Before we start talking about the work you've been doing on cocoa and other things, I know you've been doing quite a bit. I want to understand your background and how it is that you came to get into what you're doing now. Have you always been interested in agriculture, in farming?
With my background in agriculture, I did my Bachelor of Agriculture from Northern Uganda, Gulu University. After that, I did my Master's in Dryland Agronomy from Mekelle University in Ethiopia. And when I came back, I think the first offer that was offered to me was to operate a tree nursery business, something that at first I feared because I didn't know the business so well. So I opted to work in the development world. So I've worked with a number of international organizations. I started from Mexico, went to DAI, Restless Development, before coming to Palladium. And all along, my work has been around working with the private sector to improve their agribusiness operations through mentorship, coaching, and designing interventions and business models that helps them to become more successful. So how I got into this with that operation and working with agribusinesses, I got to learn how businesses become successful, some of the models that help them to enlarge their territories, reach out to more clients, and become more profitable. And that is how I grew interest in learning more about agribusiness and getting more involved.
What exactly do you do on the Climate Smart Jobs project?
On the Climate Smart Jobs project, my role is to support agribusinesses to develop climate smart interventions that support smallholder farmers in northern Uganda, which is the area where the project works, to become more resilient, to adopt practices that do not only help them to earn a livelihood, but also help them to restore their soils and make sure it is productive now and for the future generation.
So give me an example of Adag-anii, who was focused in the last episode of the podcast. What does a typical day of working with them look like?
If I can spin back a bit, how it all started, because under Climate Smart Jobs, with our mandate of supporting smallholder farmers in northern Uganda to build resilience to climate change, we started talking with farmers to understand how they are being affected by climate change, what kind of farming systems are they practicing, and how does it kind of build their response to climate change. And one of the discoveries we found was that majority of farmers in northern Uganda do seasonal crops. And with this, they are severely affected in case of any slight shift in the climate pattern.
So the seasonal crops, we're talking maize, sesame.
Maize, sesame, beans, soybeans, and the like. So what actually touched me was one of the farmers that had grown over 10 acres of maize. And then at that stage where maize is flowering, there was a 2 weeks span of dry spell. And before you know it, the maize had started withering, and the farmer was so frustrated looking for someone to buy the stock, maybe to feed livestock, and that was very frustrating. So that actually gave us more confidence from what the farmers suffered, to help them to know that you can actually invest in tree crops, which are less affected by climate change. And in our movements and scoping for potential actors is how we landed on Adag-anii. So Adag-anii was already operating a tree nursery for cocoa in Lira City, and they had a nursery bed with a capacity of around 500,000 seedlings in a season. So we got to understand some of the challenges, the dynamics around what he was doing. So one of the things we learned was that he had a low capacity to produce seedlings, but also to reach out to farmers. Much as a few farmers that got to know about cocoa production took interest and were planting, there was need for more farmers to know about cocoa production. And that also came with the need for them to expand their production of seedlings and reach out to more farmers. And our engagement with them was now, how do we work together to develop a business model that enables you to reach out to more farmers, but also ease access to these tree seedlings for the most remote farmer. And that is how it all started.
What was cocoa like in northern Uganda, let's say 3-4 years ago, before you started engaging with Adag-anii and Nature's Harvest and all the other people that you've been engaging? What was it like, and can you tell the difference then and now?
So what we observed, we got a few farmers who had older cocoa farms that have lasted like between 3 to 5 years. But these farmers were struggling in terms of accessing services, extension services. Majority of the farmers were actually seeing cocoa as, a tree crop that takes so long for them to benefit from. And also, I think it comes with our interactions with farmers. I think since colonial times, farmers in northern Uganda have been made to know that their land is not suitable for any perennial crop. So farmers are not doing bananas, coffee, cocoa, all these perennial crops. They thought they only do well in central and southwestern regions. And that mentality had kind of made the adoption of cocoa to be very low in the area. But also one thing is, most of the farmers that grew cocoa did so using the traditional approaches where they were growing cocoa as a monoculture, cocoa alone without any trees or integration with crops, and that did not create kind of attractiveness to other farmers.
You're from northern Uganda?
Yes.
Where exactly?
I come from Lira.
Our focus was in Lango, Lira with Adag-anii. So what was it like going back home to actually promote something that you believe could actually be useful to the smallholder farmers there?
So, yes, after learning about cocoa, of course, my biggest interest was to see the largest adoption in my home district.
You have a mandate to go to Acholi, West Nile, and everywhere else.
Yeah, but I knew my legacy would be seen where I will finally go and, stay after maybe the project. So I think I started this discussion with my people at home.
Okay.
Yes. So one day I was chatting with my dad and I was telling him, you have all this land. Every year you are producing maize, but you are seeing that the productivity is going low every day. How about you invest in a tree crop like cocoa? Then he was like, no, for me, I don't like trees because I will die before I harvest. Then there are some trees I'd planted around home, some pine trees, around 15 years when I was at the university. And the trees have grown really big. And I asked him, but you see these trees, I am the one who planted them, and they are now ready for harvesting, and you are still alive. So why do you think when you grow cocoa, you will die before maybe benefiting from it? Then he was like, oh, maybe if you bring it here and we see, maybe we will get to know about it and grow it. So then I took back the information to Adag-anii that there are farmers in this area that need this information about cocoa. I must say that the transformation or the knowledge about cocoa started from my location and spread to other areas.
You mentioned that you work with the private sector. Why not with, so Adag-anii is private sector.
Yes.
Why not with the farmers?
So like my entire background, like I said, the kind of work I've been doing is market systems development approach, which is an approach that I do believe, and other people believe in it, that it is more sustainable. Because then if you work with the private sector, if you can demonstrate to the private sector that a business model is viable and profitable over time, then they will start investing in it. And once the private sector invests in it, they'll create that relationship with the farmers, and that kind of bring about sustainability such that when even when the project exits, that business will continue running, and that is what we are seeing right now.
Are you seeing, or have you worked with, even while you were at CSJ, but engaged or collaborated with other programs in the north that are working to promote and develop cocoa as well?
There are not so many programs that are promoting cocoa in the region. I've only engaged with UCDA, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, which is an arm of government that is promoting cocoa and coffee production. And it was layering on their efforts. They had already mapped the region and classified it as suitable for cocoa production. So some of the work that I did with them was mainly to validate which regions are more suitable, what have so far been done, and how do we then build on the efforts that they are doing. And yeah, they were positive, supported us, first of all, in validating this information, but also linking us to some of the certified nurseries across the region. And most of our engagements have been with the private sector.
So you're in Lango, which is your home, but you also do some work in West Nile, Acholi, and Kiliandongo. What has been the uptake of cocoa in the last 3-4 years?
Okay, just like I said, that in the beginning, the adoption was very low. And part of the reason was because people didn't have clear understanding of cocoa as a crop and how they can benefit from it. Like I said, most farmers believed that cocoa is a long-term crop, so that would mean their land would lie idle if they plant cocoa for maybe 2-3 years before they can start harvesting. But with the models that, maybe I can also tell you the uniqueness of our cocoa production promotion in northern Uganda. So most of the farmers, as I said, that were doing cocoa were using the conventional approach where you grow cocoa as a monocrop. And that means when, like during heat wave, drought and all that, that cocoa will suffer and die. And that will not create a kind of attractiveness to other farmers. So one thing we do was first to design how we promote the model that is using an agroforestry approach where we are integrating cocoa with seasonal crops like the ones we have mentioned, mostly cover crops, beans, soybeans, groundnuts, so that a farmer can start earning from 4 months. Then intermediary, we encourage them to integrate with bananas. Bananas is a temporary shade crop that serves to provide moisture and shade for the next 2-3 years. But also a farmer begins to earn from the bananas after 1 year. Then another thing is to plant shade trees. And with the shade trees, we encourage using indigenous fruit trees that a farmer can start benefiting from as well before they start harvesting their cocoa. So these approaches made farmers to now start appreciating that, okay, I can,
I have
plant.
options.
Yeah, I have options.
Yeah.
Once I plant this tree, as I'm waiting to start harvesting, at least I will be feeding my family as normally I will be earning from. Imagine if you plant, for example, bananas. In 1 acre, there are 450 cocoa trees. That would mean also you have 450 stamps of bananas. Now imagine if after 1 year, you are harvesting your bananas and you are selling only each bunch at only 5,000 shillings. That would mean a farmer is earning around 2 million.
And that's actually cheap for a bunch of matoke.
Yes, that is cheap. I'm just calculating using because in northern Uganda also the eating of bananas is just gaining what? So with all that, even the farmers that already have it started demonstrating. So another thing that we did was to design models for distribution. And with Adag-anii, we designed a model called satellite nurseries model, where we have the main nursery in the city, but the company opened up like 6 other nurseries within the region in Omoro district, in Oyam district, in Apach, in Kole, okay? Just to ensure that farmers who are expressing interest do not have to travel up to, Lira city to access the seedlings, but they can access the seedlings and other services within their locations. Another thing that we did with this company was to co-invest in creating awareness, okay? So that all the seedlings that they're producing are going out, but also more farmers are getting to know about cocoa. So through our co-investment with them, they did a lot of radio talk shows, community meetings, sensitization meetings, and community trainings. Adag-anii could just announce over the radio, people of this sub-county, we are coming this weekend to train. Then they carry a public address system, they carry some seedlings for demonstration, then they go. And some of their trainings, you find even over 200 people.
I saw an article about churches
Yes.
taking this up as well and encouraging their...
Actually, that now came after. After creating those mass awareness, so we now had interest building up. And churches started identifying this as one of the ways that can get their Christians out of poverty. So churches started organizing and inviting them to come and train their Christians, sponsor at least a demo at every chapel, for example. Like every church has a demo. Not only churches, cultural institutions started coming in. And you see this clan coming, to make sure their subjects know about cocoa production and their planting. Politicians came in, like last political campaign season. People are buying cocoa and, as one of the ways. So that now saw adoption taking kind of an impressive curve.
So are we seeing the same in the other regions?
Yes, we are seeing the same in the other regions. So Adag-anii is serving through the satellite nurseries, is serving Lango and actually sub-regions where we are seeing high adoption rates. In West Nile, we have Nature's Harvest, who is also, they are the pioneers of cocoa in that region. But their approach has been, they were using a non-market-based approach, but with our engagement with them, they started selling seedlings. That means they see an economic value in producing seedlings, but also farmers, from the few farmers who have harvested. We met a woman, a widow, in Koboko that planted her cocoa around 300 stems about 5 years ago, who has constructed a permanent house from the cocoa alone. And you see, that is inspiring to other women.
Yeah.
And so other people are now coming in, and the adoption is really taking shape. And one more other thing, as we were starting, we had this belief that, women do not have access to land, they cannot plant perennial crops. But we have seen real adoption by women. A case is an example is Millie Okullo, one of those farmers in Lira that planted already like 3 acres. And one time when I visited her, and I asked her, what has been your regret about cocoa planting? And she told me that my only regret is that didn't you people tell me this early? Because I have planted so many crops and I have not gained anything. But with my cocoa now, I see the future is too bright. So that means other women can learn. We went to a farmer that is doing over 40 acres. And the management of this farm has been taken over by his daughter. So she's also encouraging other women in that area to plant cocoa.
I see you smiling even as you tell these stories. How does all of this make you feel about the work that you're doing?
I actually feel so proud of myself. And I feel so proud of Climate Smart Jobs. For it is because of Climate Smart Jobs that we are seeing this very positive change in the region. So I only pray that this keeps, going on as it is already, and we have private sectors who are coming to buy. Because when I was interacting with Adag-anii about 3 weeks ago, their biggest fear is now, how shall we offtake all this cocoa? Because we say the prices are good, it is profitable. That means you need money, and a lot of money to offtake all that the farmers are producing. So our worry is now how to offtake, but production, we are on the right path.
So you were in the field with William a couple of weeks ago, and you did a recording for us with Millie, the farmer that you spoke about.
Yeah.
Can you paint a picture for us, even as we transition into that interview that you had with Millie? Paint a picture of where you recorded this audio with her at her farm.
When we recorded this farm, that recording at her farm, we found a really very well-managed farm. And Millie has broken a record, even from Adag-anii. They used to believe that most of the cocoa start producing at 2.5, 3 years. But Millie has cocoa that are flowering at 2 years. 2 years, our cocoa is already flowering, having a lot of flowers. The farm is well managed. She is very excited. And she's just praying that God gives her more land for her to expand.
She was at what, 4 acres, 5 acres?
She has 3.5 acres.
3.5?
Yeah.
But then she has another split piece of land in a separate location.
Yeah. In total, I think it's around 4 acres.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's listen to your interview with Millie.
In my farm here, I have cocoa trees you are seeing. I have banana. I have assorted fruit trees. I've also planted some permanent shade trees. Actually, what motivated me, as you have seen, the spacing of cocoa is 3 by 3. So it leaves a very big gap opening in between. So I said, why weeding cocoa alone? Why can't I intercrop with the food crops such that when I harvest the other, as I'm weeding almost 3-4 items at a go. So when I harvest the other one, I'm feeding the family as well as I'm maintaining the cocoa. I've been planting these seasonal crops. Sometimes you get a good yield, but when you go to the market, open market to sell, the prices discourages a lot. I tried many here, soya, maize, sunflower, so many things. But the yield, sometimes you get well, but sometimes the weather affects. And after spending a lot, you get nothing. And then I said, now leaving this garden here, people are just using it for grazing. Let me plant the woodlots. I tried 3 times. Started with pines. It was destroyed by animals. I planted teak. It was also destroyed. The third time, I planted eucalyptus, termites. Ate almost all. I got less than 40 pieces, trees remaining. So after listening to Adag-anii, sensitizing people on radio, and luckily enough, I stay not very far from Peter's place. I took advantage, and I went to his home. From there, upon seeing cocoa producing, said why? And I asked him, how long does this one take for you to start harvesting? He told me 3 years. I said, what? And I regretted after wasting a lot of time. Because this garden, I bought it is over 10 years ago. And why I regretted, if I'd known this one early, I would just be here sitting and getting my money. Actually, I can say I'm blessed for my cocoa, like the 2 trees, to start producing within less than 2 years. The other one, I think one started 1 and 3 or 6 months. So we got some pieces, we ate and enjoyed. We enjoyed it. To other people who are still planning, you are wasting a lot of time. Get going. Start small and you grow from there. Because the experience you have got from this small portion will move you to the next level. So let's not waste time.
Solomon, the second person we're going to hear from today is Mr. Moses Ayena. Where is he best?
Moses Ayena manages the 40-acre that I mentioned about, is the operational manager, like the agronomist at the farm. The farm is located in Okullo sub-county in Kole district. And they are really doing an amazing job. With the 40 acres, they still plan to expand more. But what is also interesting is that they are employing over 30 permanent young people in their farm who are like do the daily management of the farm, application of fertilizers, control of weeds, pruning, and they have one section that is already being harvested in this farm.
Our first cocoa was planted in 2024, where we started with the 20 acres. Then we also came to, the first sector is Sector A, where we planted. That was 2024.
Which month?
It was during March. Yeah, we started in March, whereby we got the seedlings from Adag-anii.
So did you plant all of them at once?
No, we did not
or
plant.
Or did you plant them over time?
No, we did not plant them all at once. As I said, we started in 2024. We planted Sector A and B. Then 2025, we planted the other sector. In fact, even with time, after managing this Sector A and B, we are trying to make it 100 acres, but we have to first manage the A and B. So we didn't plant it at once, step by step.
So with your experience, is it difficult to take care of cocoa and coffee?
It's difficult in a way that it's mainly during dry season where you need a lot of watering. That's when we face a lot of challenges. But when there's rain, we don't face a lot of challenges. I think that's where, during the dry season, that's when it's hard to maintain because you need a lot of labor.
I can see this farm of cocoa is yet to start producing.
Yes.
We have seen a few pods. How about the coffee? Has it started producing?
Yeah,
Are
coffee
you
is
already
starting.
harvesting?
Yes, coffee we are harvesting because last year we harvested like around 4 bags and that was our first. But this year we're expecting more. But also for cocoa, we have also started fermenting, by the way, not in large quantity. However much we have started with little, not that too much. At least maybe you can get like around 20 pods, then we ferment it like that. Because it's not coming at once as we expect. But in future, maybe by next year or by end of this year, I think we shall be harvesting a lot. Mainly from the sector A and B, which was planted in 2024.
Okay, do you have any regrets at all on that choice of planting coffee and cocoa? Do you want once a while sit and regret that, oh, why did we plant coffee and cocoa? We should have planted any other crop.
Yeah, that one I can. When we speak to Muse, the boss here, he will never regret. And he's up about it. Even his kids, all of them. That's why you see even one of his daughters is here doing the management. Even his son comes here. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any advice for other farmers out there who are still planning to invest in cocoa and coffee?
What I can tell them, grow coffee and grow cocoa to get rich.
Solomon, 40 acres. He has 40 acres and plans to expand to how many?
They think they can reach to 100 acres.
100 acres. There must be a lot of land in the north.
There's land in the north.
Is that an invitation for me to?
And now that we know that it is very suitable
for cocoa,
you're welcome to the north to invest. You'll come as an investor. We love investors.
What do you think the likely developments that we'll see in the cocoa scene in Lango in the near future? And maybe not just Lango, just spread it out across the north.
So with the private sector actors seeing the viability in them investing more in producing more cocoa seedlings and offering other services, I see a private sector ownership and more private sector actors coming in. Already, if you go to Lira, along the road, you'll see at least each nursery has some lines of cocoa seedlings that they're producing. So that means we are going to see more private sector actors coming in to offer inputs and other embedded services on cocoa. And we shall have more farmers adopting. And this, to me, will see more land being used under a more sustainable way. And it will translate into more income for smallholder farmers in northern Uganda.
I hope you see a future for yourself in this space.
Personally, yes. I am a young investor in cocoa. I have a garden that is ready to be planted this season. And I'm starting with 2 acres. But my vision is if I can reach 40 acres, that would be the best. And it will kind of help me to run my life well.
Is there anything further that you want us to know about the cocoa work you've been doing?
About the cocoa work I've been doing, mostly I want to say if farmers are really given the right tools and the right knowledge about any technology, I think they will always adopt. Now, coming to cocoa, one other incentive that we did as Climate Smart Jobs is to link cocoa production to carbon markets. So that means farmers who are investing in cocoa production will start earning carbon credits. That is also another additional income. that, will help them to do more, expand more, because the more acres you have, the more additional income you have from carbon markets. Another thing that I want to say is around the positive trend in adoption and the contribution of cocoa in climate change mitigation. Cocoa is a tree crop, and the way we are promoting it is we are promoting its production alongside other trees. And that itself helps to control or modify the climate of an area in terms of helping to lower the temperatures, because if you have a layer of musisi on the top, cocoa, bananas in between, cocoa, medium, and then cover crops, that means the temperature that is reaching, the heat that is reaching the soil is really low. Not only that, with that integration, we are bringing about biodiversity. So when you have a diverse environment, that means even there are other goods and services that people can get from that environment. Cocoa is not only giving incomes to farmers, but is also helping to improve the soils, improve soil fertility in terms of their leaves. If you go to a cocoa farm that is 3 years plus, you find when the leaves have mulched the entire field, and that means there's a lot of microorganism activities going on down there. And that is fixing more nutrients from the atmosphere into the soil, increasing the soil organic matter. And in the long run, we are also removing the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, which is the beast in climate change.
Are you seeing any of these changes you've spoken about in the north?
Yes. The change that I'm seeing, the immediate one, is when you go to a place like there's a cocoa village in a Leptong district that was set up by one of the religious groups, where over 30 farmers in that village have grown cocoa. And if you see in the next 2 years, that whole place will be, the tree coverage will have increased, and you will see the rainfall pattern of the area starting to change. But what I also need to mention is that with our engagement with these private sector actors, over 1 million farmers already know about cocoa production. And also over 5,000 farmers have been trained on cocoa production. Out of those, we have over 3,500 farmers who have planted cocoa, at least between half to 1 acre. And in total, we have over 1,900 acres of land that is planted with cocoa. And that is a very big change that Climate Smart Jobs has brought that never was before. And with the rate at which the adoption is happening, we only think that this will double in the next few years. And that will be a very good thing for my region. And I will live happily.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Thank you for taking the time. I know you traveled
Welcome.
all the way from Gulu. You're based in Gulu.
Yeah, I'm based in Gulu.
I know you traveled all the way to come and speak with me, and this has been most useful. I'm hoping that William over there is encouraged to consider cocoa. I've been speaking to him, but I'm not sure that I've managed to convince him. I hope you can do that for me.
It's really been a pleasure coming here to share my experience and to share the positives that I'm seeing. But beyond William, if I am planting, I think you can also plant. But I'm also speaking to people out there. Each time you buy chocolate, you should know that it is beyond the chocolate you're buying. You should ensure that the chocolate is being produced in a more sustainable way that does not end its production today, but also leave the soil fertile for your children and children's children to continue eating chocolate. And also to the other private sector actors out there, let us join hands with people like Adag-anii and promote a more sustainable cocoa production. Yeah.
Thank you, Solomon.